Hello, I'm Toycat, and the most powerful passports in the world are Japan's, Singapore's, Germany's, and Italy's. This is when ranked by visa-free destinations, which is to say, the world loves the Axis powers when it comes to letting them visit their countries. This is what the Passport Index is based off, and it's a very interesting ranking. However, there is something much more important than visiting a country for tourism, and that is being able to actually live and work there. So how does that work? Well, an article that I read recently, I wanted to point this out, the Australia and the UK have just upped their bilateral agreement on how long the working holiday visa will work for, so that now you can have a working holiday anywhere up to the age of 35. That is to say, anyone from the UK can live and work in Australia up to the age of 35, and anyone up to the age of 35 in Australia can live and work in the UK with just a small, fairly easy visa process that isn't discriminatory based on having a job offer or having like actual needs or wants. It just means you have to pay a small fee and then you can go to a different country. This is a very big deal, and it's one of the biggest deals for people who want to move country and go somewhere, because sure, going on holiday to Singapore or going to Germany might be real nice, but what if you actually want to live there? Well, you'll need a working holiday, which is why I wanted to raise a little bit of awareness for it in today's video, partially because a lot of people might not know it exists, but also because you might not know it's an option. So as far as where you could go on a working holiday, the fun thing is I tried to find a fun map, because this is a map channel. I mean, we're talking about immigration law apparently, but this is a map channel at the very heart of things, but there isn't a very good map for this, because ultimately working holidays is a very broad term that lots of countries have, about 60 countries in fact. However, in terms of which countries have signed agreements with who, it's something that varies entirely. So there's a big Wikipedia page for every single thing you can imagine. In Brazil, if you're French, German, or New Zealander, you can apply for a 1-year working holiday visa between 18 and 30. Whereas, if you want to go to, Estonia, for example, it's Australia, Canada, Japan, as well as New Zealand visas being, whatever. You can see the point that, like, it slightly varies by country, but in general, the anglosphere is very big on them. The reason why is because most countries in this, group, that is to say Australia, that is to say New Zealand, as well as Canada, as well as a lot of the European countries, very much have problems of people saying, wow, immigration's a big bad thing. However, this isn't immigrating for work. When it comes to getting a work visa, you have to prove that you have skills the local population don't have. You're doing something a local person could not. But when it comes to working holiday, it's like, you see, they're just coming here for a holiday where they can also work if they need to support their holiday. Obviously, they can live here as well, and they can do any job they want, and there's no restrictions. And it's like, isn't that just a work visa? No, don't you dare say that. You're ruining our opportunities. But yeah, that's the basic idea. So, the New Zealand also have a similar thing. Look how happy they look agreeing on this deal. That's a long way for her to travel to agree a deal about working holidays. But basically, yeah, you can go to the beach in Australia and you can look at a kangaroo. Are kangaroos native to beaches? I'm not familiar with my local fauna there, but it doesn't. Anyway, the point is to say is that you can do all of these things if you want to. By the way, I'm getting bigger. I hope you don't mind. But speaking of getting bigger, I think it's a really interesting deal which you might not have known about. So, for example, by the way, even though the US is often not listed as one of the countries in the working holiday deals, you actually can get one as a US citizen. So you could go to Australia, you can go to Ireland, you can go to Singapore, although it only accepts 2,000 applicants a year, because each of the deals the US has signed are very, very weird. So, for example, Australia has this unlimited access program for the US. I don't know how they got such a good deal. Something about nuclear weapons were involved. So Australia gives up a little bit of control over nuclear weapons around their ocean and their territory, and in exchange, Australian citizens can just go to the US in unlimited quantities. It's actually a pretty good deal in my opinion. If your deal has a favorable nuclear exchange with the US, which involves people aged 18 to 30, you can go live in the US. But in general, again, we're talking the Anglosphere, and we're talking about Europe, have very good deals for you if you happen to be from another part of the Anglosphere and Europe. Why is there an Anglosphere? Okay, so why is there an Anglosphere? Could anyone let me know in the comments, like, why is it that they speak English in Australia rather than Australian? And why don't they speak New Zealandish? And why is Canadian not a language? If anyone could let me know in the comments why there are countries that aren't England that speak English, I'd love to know, very, very sincerely, definitely. Anyway, with that said, so the interesting thing I want to point out is that, yes, you can go to another country on a working holiday. If you're British, this is the one I know the most about, because I'm going to be honest, I've been curious. I work a job where I sit in front of a green screen, right? And even the green screen's not necessary, damn it. You know, do you need this here? Apparently it definitely wasn't that wonky when I rolled it up. Do you need that to be there? Probably not, right? And so, I could do this in Australia right now. Wait, I'm going to be in Australia real quick. How did it go sideways when it went up? Wait. Huh. I definitely did something wrong there. Anyway, I'm gonna go to Australia real quick. Oi, good day, mate. Look, wait. One sec, sorry. Just on the flight right now. Oh, good day, mate. Today I'm going to be talking about some geography, yeah? Well, the problem with all the oots, I forget the name of it. The Bogans are driving their oots round our damn territories and they're ruining the country. But thank God they ain't those darn Brits that I hate because now I'm Australian. Okay, so that's that done. Okay, we've confirmed I can do this from anywhere. Perfect. But I've looked into this for curiosity, and if you're British, you have access to Australia, Canada, Hong Kong, Japan, New Zealand, Singapore, Taiwan, and South Korea. And in exchange, the reverse is actually true there too. All of those countries can come and just live and work here for a summer if they want to, paying a fairly small fee. Don't look at the thing over there. It doesn't exist. You don't see it. Trust me. Anyway, it's a really good deal. Besides Singapore, which is 6 months, besides a few of these countries, which are fairly small, Canada is a year, but you can extend it a few times. If you meet a lot of, if you ever go to, this is one of my favorite things. Like, there are some parts of the world that rely exclusively on these visas. So if you ever go to Banff, which is near Calgary, it's very expensive to live there. You have to live in like one of these hotels, which apparently they pay Google money to be slightly more prominent. But anyway, if you look at it and you see like, wow, if you ever go here, you will not spot Canadian citizens besides maybe internal tourists, because all the people who work in a town like this are, tourists from the UK, tourists from Australia in particular, and New Zealand, who are coming here because, wow, you get to stay in a hotel and then work for the hotel and then go skiing for a bit. There aren't ski hills this big in Australia. I don't know why there aren't, but that's what they call them. They call them ski hills, they call them ski fields, I think I heard. But they don't have them in Australia, and so they love to come here. The same is true for certain parts of Australia's tourism industry, and it's a really good way to say, what if we gave you a job and in exchange you got to be a cool tourist? And it's a really good system, which is why the official passport ranking, I think, has a bit of a flaw to it. Singapore has access to the US is going to be really high up on this. Surprisingly low down, actually, at 9th place. So the US has access to 185. I don't know what Opera's done now, but it wants me to do AI. Explain briefly 185, please. Okay, thank you. Get started. Yep, that's great. What is 185? Okay, well, I don't have an email. I'm not going to sign up for one to get this explained to me. But anyway, so I want to have 180. You can go to 185 countries as a United States citizen, which makes your passport the 9th most powerful in the world. Again, surprised it's so low. I guess too many countries hate the United States just because they invaded them just to get some resources. Wow, your country does one bad thing and now you're down at 9th on the list. But my point is to say that the US is can access 185 countries, but living in any of those countries becomes a pain because the US doesn't agree with the idea of double taxation. They're like, yes, you might be working because they tax on the basis of citizenship. You file a tax return every year in the US, not based on the income that you earned in the US, but based on the income you earned over the whole world. And in a lot of countries, they don't let you subtract your local taxes from that income, or they do, but only, long story short, you pay tax as an American while outside of America. While me as a British person, when I go to America, I pay American tax, but not British tax, and then I could leave to come back home and pay British tax again and not American tax. Whereas Americans moving to the UK pay American tax here, they pay American and British tax here, and then back to American tax. That's the basic point. And so, putting it on 9th is really, it's a powerful passport to have for the purpose of living in the United States, which is, a big thing you might think, but actually then it's a really big downside in all those other circumstances. Canada has a few small downsides like that. You have to pay exit tax when you leave the country. There's all sorts of weird things that are happening with certain countries and having these passports, which is kind of missed by this. But the other thing that's missed by it is that, yes, actually Singapore is on very good terms with the rest of the world. I agree with them being ranked number 1. Japan, Germany, and Italy, Axis powers teaming up together. I'm glad they got their act together. If giving them visa-free access is what it takes to prevent another World War II, I'm entirely on board with it. Don't get me wrong. But you could make the argument that the more atrocities you commit about 80 years ago, the more countries let you in. It seems to be the correlation. But the more important point I want to make here, besides just ragging on my favorite guys, love your pizza, love your currywurst, love your everything else, guys. But my point is to say that when you look at when you look at the the passport countries here, you're kind of missing that actually Italians miss out on a lot of these working holiday visas in a way that South Koreans do not. The UK and South Korea, Oh, they're not on this. Oh, here it is. So you can stay in South Korea for 2 years and vice versa. There are lots of South Koreans who just show up to the UK and it's great. It is a wonderful exchange we have going on there. The same is true for Taiwan. They are not very high up on the index, and actually, you know, Taiwan not being very high up on here probably makes some sense. Where is Taiwan actually, I wonder? Can you search for it? Let's Control F, Taiwan. They are at 32 at 146 countries. And then, you know, the most fun thing to do at this point would be, okay, you know, I've told you about working holidays. Look up your country and working holiday. Sadly, it's one of those things where there's no easy way to show every pairing of countries. Because obviously, like, how do you work out in the UK, it's these countries. But if you're from Hong Kong, then it's going to be trickier and so on and so forth. So look up your own country. It's something you should look into if you want to go somewhere else and you believe that you don't like where you are right now. However, the other thing that I want to raise is the fact that, yeah, there are some countries with some questionable passports, which is fun because I've mentioned before I am a quarter Sri Lankan. I'm not actually eligible for a passport. A few people have mentioned like, oh yeah, Toy Cat, so you're becoming Irish off the basis of a grandfather. Surely you should become Sri Lankan off the basis of your grandmother just for fun. And ignoring the fact that, like, you know, like I don't really need to be Sri Lankan, and ignoring the fact that they only let you have one passport, you know, I'm allowed to shit talk Sri Lanka here because I'm Sri Lankan, right? So Sri Lanka, great place at some point in the past, I'm sure. Great place in the present, in some places right now even. However, they only allow one citizenship, so I'd have to renounce my British and my, you know, hopefully soon to be Irish citizenship to get a passport that would then be ranked 103rd in the world. Just to clarify here, if you look on this list, you can see North Korea has about the same. How does that happen? How does Sri Lanka get to North Korea levels? What did they do? Don't tell me. You know, I leave a comment about how there's English people speaking people in other countries. Don't tell me about the atrocities that my country has, like my not country has committed. Clearly, you know, I don't. Did I say my grandma's from Sri Lanka? I meant she's actually from Singapore, who is universally loved. Speaking of being universally loved, I universally love it when you watch the videos, and I'm not going to tell you to like it. You know, if you like the video, I would actively think less of you as a person. You know, that thumbs up and thumbs down does nothing. Why are you still hitting it? It's 2023. Hit the subscribe button if you like stuff, or don't hit it. Go to Patreon if you want to give me money. I will buy a good kebab. I had a really good kebab recently, and I'll have another good kebab if you click the links. But for now, I'd rather you like go work in New Zealand or Australia or Taiwan, or if you're from one of those countries, come live in the UK. You know, we would love it. We have mountains like this. This is definitely, let me show you how beautiful the UK is, because you need to come here right now. Look at it. Okay, this is Hull. It's widely known as the UK's most beautiful city. And if I show you a random street, you'll be, okay, this is not a random street. If I show you a random street, you're just immediately gonna want to live here. Like, oh, the beauty. This is actually, like, not the worst it could be, right? This is... I mean, it looks like... I don't know how they planned these streets. Like, it looks like a nightmare to try and do anything here. But, yeah, come visit Hull in the UK. There's a lot... Look, they've got a deep. They've got a nibble. They've got tapas. You know, wow. Is there a fancy area of Hull? I need to visit, clearly. I have... Oh, maybe fancy was the wrong word to use for this. Anyway, thank you very much for... Oh, whoa, never mind. Whoa, look, it changed. It changed a lot. Whoa, that's crazy. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Wait, actually, is this the... It could be that's gone into the past and not the future, right? So, let's go... Oh, no, okay, yeah, wow, it went from that to that in 10 years. Just a reminder, if you look terrible now, in 9 years, you might be palatable. Anyway, thank you for watching. Second channel. Don't care. Bye.